everyone, it's Nina Marie Trapani for Simon Says Stamp, and thanks for joining me today for another video. Today I'm going to be creating some Halloween cupcake treat toppers that you can use to decorate some yummy festive treats for this Halloween season. These would be great for if you're doing a Halloween party and you want to decorate your cupcakes, or if you just want to have something festive for just personal. That's what I'm doing. Over the weekend, I made some homemade chocolate cupcakes, and I'm decorating them with these fun little toppers that are just for me and my boyfriend. We can just enjoy them as we reach for a cupcake and have something yummy ahead of Halloween. So I'm going to show you how I made these. I used a lot of Tim Holtz products to create them, and they're fun because what's really cool is that they also glow in the dark. So to start off, I've pulled out some fun distress ink colors that to me feel a little bit more Halloween-y. The teal is a little bit unexpected, but trust me, it looks good. And then we're also going to be using Boo Crazy, which is a Tim Holtz stamp set. Also, there are coordinating dies for this set, so if you want to cut out the ghosts with them, that is super handy. So I'm going to use the distress inks today to do some ink smushing. I have a Simon Says stamp pocket that I've cut the flap off of so that I can use this as a carrier sheet to apply my ink to my paper. I'm also working on Tim Holtz's white glass studio mat, and I always spritz my inks with a little bit of water before I start pressing the ink into the paper. Now, a lot of people like to do this technique by putting the ink onto their work surface, spritzing it, and then putting their paper into that. But I like being able to control where my ink colors are going. So I find the carrier sheet method for me is really helpful. It allows me to maintain some of that control. Now, you're not going to be able to keep ink from being fully controlled because ink is just going to want to spread and do its thing once it starts mixing with water and mixing with other colors. But it's a really handy tool for me to be able to utilize to help me just maintain some of that control. So in between each of these layers, I did dry them. That's because I want to have them not react as much with each other and to start creating mud. I want the colors to be more defined. Now, this paper is not perfectly dry, so there will be some mixing, but that's okay. I used that teal, and I know it's a little bit unexpected, but I love how it mixes with the oranges and the yellows to create almost a greenish brown color, which is perfect for fall and Halloween. Even if you weren't making Halloween projects, this would be a great background for fall leaves and such. I think that would be really pretty. And then I always love coming in with some contrast, which is, in this case, walnut stain, a really dark color to add some drama. Now, I love the fact that distress inks react with water, so using some water, I flicked it onto my paper with my hands, and then I'm dabbing it up with my Simon Says Stamp Positively Perfect microfiber cloth to be able to lift that up and get that water splatter effect. These are so much fun, distress spritzes. So they're a shimmery pearlized spray that is actually really good for layering over top of ink like this. So it's really not going to change the color underneath, but instead it's going to add a little bit of that shimmery shine in the colors that I've chosen, which are Fossilized Amber and Wilted Violet. So when I tip this in the light, it will catch those colors, and you'll see how we have a little bit of yellow and purple shine starting to show up here? That's what's really fun about these spritzes, is that they keep the background the same, but they add that really unique shimmer on top, which is so cool. Now, I did make 2 of these backgrounds, and this is a perfect example of how, even though I use the exact same colors, they turned out completely different. Isn't that neat? And both of them have that shimmer from the Distress Spritz sprayed on them, those same 2 colors, purple and yellow, and that gave me this really awesome set of backgrounds. I'm going to die cut these with a circle die from Simon Says Stamp. I've cut out 4 because that's how many cupcake toppers I'm creating. This is a great project to make multiples of. You would just repeat every step over with all the pieces before moving on to the next step, and that's what I'm doing. So I pulled out this Hocus Pocus stencil from Tim Holtz, and I'm using the Grit Glow paste to apply this through the stencil. That'll give me these awesome stars, but they also then will glow in the dark, which is so much fun. So I am going to repeat this across all of my circles. I'm not even going to clean my stencil. I'm just going to carefully place it back over top of each of my circles and then put the paste through it again. Now, of course, it depends on your area, but if you do apply the paste a little bit on the thinner side, it will dry fairly quickly. All right, so we're moving on to some more die cutting. I've cut out some of these scallop circles from a Lawn Fawn die set from some black cardstock. These are going to get layered behind my circle panels. And the nested circles that I use are from Simon Says Stamp, and they just so happen to fit really nice with the Lawn Fawn scallop circles. So that's why I'm using those. And I've die cut 8 of them. And there's a reason why, and you'll see in a few minutes here. But we first need to attach our little circle panels to one of the scallop circles. So we're going to use terrific tape and apply that onto our circles so we can adhere them onto our scallop circles. These are going to create really nice little frames around our panels, and I feel like it adds some fun to have that scallop edge. For our ghosts, we're going to bring in that Boo Crazy stamp set, and I'm just going to stamp these with a clear block because I want to stamp 4 of them fairly quickly and I don't want to have to worry about repositioning it in my stamping tool. So I prepped some vellum with a powder tool, and then using some clear embossing ink, I'm going to stamp that little ghost onto my vellum 4 times. And I know it's hard to see on top of vellum, but that stamping is there and it looks great, and we're just going to go ahead and repeat that for all 4 ghosts. Then with some embossing powder from Simon's Stamp, I'm just going to sprinkle that over top of the vellum, and because we prepped the surface first with a powder tool, it's allowing the powder to only stick to the inked areas of my stamped image. So that way we get a really nice clean embossing. Now the trick to embossing with vellum is to make sure you let your heat gun get really good and hot before you bring it to your vellum, and then keep it moving. Don't let it sit in one place for too long, otherwise you'll have a tendency to curl the vellum. But if you do it carefully, you'll get a really nice, beautiful impression and your paper will not be curling. I don't have the coordinating dies for the Boo Crazy set. I wish I did, but I'm using my Tim Holtz recoil scissors to cut them out. If you have the coordinating dies, this would make the process a lot faster. You could have just die cut all of these ghosts all at once. I'm attaching my ghosts onto my background panels using some craft tacky glue, and I'm being very careful with where I put my glue so that way it's behind the heaviest areas of the image so you won't actually see the adhesive through the vellum. So I'm just hiding that behind the embossed areas. And then as they're drying, I'm just setting them up in a stack and putting a clear block on top of them so that way they have a chance to let the vellum bond onto the paper. While that's drying, I've pulled out this great die set from Tim Holtz called Big Frights. And from this, I'm really only using the moon and the bats, but these are great embellishments that went really well with my ghosts. So I'm die cutting the moons from some gold cardstock from Simon's Stamp, and then the bats from black glossy cardstock. So I've die cut all of these off camera, and this is where we're going to assemble them onto our pieces. So I'm going to show you how I did that. With some foam tape behind the moon, I'm going to then just pop that up off to the side of the ghost. So you can see I lined up my ghosts on one end of my panel, and then the moon is going to go on the other side. And then for the bats, they're going to get folded in half, just so that way the wings are kind of like puffed up a little bit and they look like they're flying through the air. And then I'm only adding adhesive to their body, so that centermost portion of the bat. And that way that just gives the bat a little bit of lift off of the ghost, and it makes it feel like they're dimensional and flying through the sky. This looks really cool on top of these backgrounds. And didn't I tell you that teal was going to look so neat in these pieces? I love how that touch of teal adds an unexpected look, but it really does still look spooky and perfect for Halloween. So as I did with everything, I always am going through each of the steps for all of my pieces all at the same time, so that way it makes the process of making a bunch of these quick. This is where we're bringing in those extra scallop circles. So I have some red line tape that I'm putting a strip of down along the middle bottom section of my scallop circle. Then with some extra long food safe toothpicks, I'm laying that into the red line tape. That's going to hold that toothpick in there really nice. And then I'm putting some foam tape in some black squares from Simon's Stamp around that toothpick, so that way I can pop my other panel that has our fun little ghost scene on top of that. So this is sandwiching that toothpick between these two pieces, so you hide that toothpick, but I like the fact that it has the foam tape there because it's going to prevent that toothpick from putting an impression through my other papers. I don't want to have the toothpick adhered directly to my panel and then just glue the other piece on top with some regular adhesive, because then you're going to get that little indentation of where the toothpick is sitting. The foam tape is giving some separation, so that way we don't have to worry about actually putting any impression into our pieces. And then our final embellishment is to add a tiny bit of velvet trim along the top of the toothpick where it meets up with our little scene. This is an unnecessary step, but I think it adds such character. So I'm just going to tie that into a simple knot, and then using my recoil scissors, I'm just going to trim off any excess. I'll cut it at a slight angle just for some fun, but I just love how it looks so cute at the bottom of this, and it ties it all together, finishes it off. It looks like a little bow tie at the end. I think these turned out so cute, and the best part is they glow in the dark. So I'm going to bring in my black light here that I borrowed from my boyfriend, and I'm just going to turn this on and show you how these glow. I'm going to turn the lights off, and check it out. How fun are these glow-in-the-dark backgrounds with those stars? And because the ghosts are vellum, it's allowing that glow-in-the-dark feature to show through, and it's so cute. So here they are on top of my homemade cupcakes, and I'm going to be able to have these out for the Halloween season until we finish them all off. So they're really cute and they add such character to these. Again, this would be fun for if you're having a party or if you just want to have something festive in your kitchen. This is another great idea for you. So I hope you were inspired by this cupcake topper project using Tim Holtz products. All of the things I used today are listed below in the video description, so you can find all of that there. And if you have any questions, please be sure to leave them in the comments section below. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I will be back soon with more to share, but until then, I hope you have a frightfully awesome day.
Hi there, I'm Heidi, Simon's mama and founder at simonsaysstamp.com. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you like what you just saw, be sure to press the thumbs up and subscribe to see more great content.